Hi,
Yes,
good
ma'am, you
morning.
can start.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Guneet Khanna. I'm the co-founder and director of Reviser. And today we are going to be talking about some standardized examinations for students, who want to go and study abroad for their undergraduate. We're going to be talking about the SAT, ACT, and the AP exam. So here's a quick brief on how the webinar has been structured. So for the first 30 to 45 minutes, we're going to be talking about these exams in detail. In case you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box on the right hand side of your screen, and we will answer all these questions towards the end. And at that time, you can unmute yourself and ask your questions as well. The idea here is to understand the high school students' journey from ninth to 12th grade and how these exams fit into their academic path, right? So, in this webinar, um, parents and students, the main things that you will learn is what are the things that you need to plan and prepare for during these 4 years, um, as far as standardized test is concerned for your college admissions journey, right? And we will do a bit of a deep dive into these exams. And we'll also show you how we at Reviser can help you along with the tools that we've built, right? Um, Before we get into it, let me tell you a little bit, give you a brief about Reviser. We are a high school learning support company. We work with students worldwide and help them achieve their academic goals. We work with students as early as grade 8 and work with them all the way up to grade 12. So we basically help out students in two main areas. One is test prep, where we where we coach for exams like SAT, ACT, APs, IELTS, etc. And the other is academic tutoring. We tutor students for IGCSE, AS and A levels, as well as IB across various subjects. So we've been in this space for about 8+ years. Um, and we have worked with more than, I think, about 4.5 to 5,000 families now. We have students from across 8+ countries, and we are headquartered in Bangalore. Right? So let's try and understand the undergraduate college admissions journey for students. You know, how it's different in India and how it's different abroad, right? In the US, the school system is very similar to our state board or the PU system that we have in India. So they have a core curriculum that is defined by the education board, and each state can choose how they want to conduct the curriculum. What happens is this results in varying levels of expertise in each subject, which makes it very difficult for universities to judge a student's caliber. They don't have a standardized national curriculum like CBSE or ICSE or Cambridge, or IB, where everyone writes the same paper, right? When everyone writes the same exam, colleges and universities know, okay, if you've got an A star in mathematics in A levels, then this is your math caliber, right? So therefore, the universities in the US needed to even the playing field, right? They collaborated with two companies, the College Board, which conducts the SAT, and ACT.org, which conducts the ACT. Both are not for profit organizations, and they designed these two tests, right, where students are assessed in English and math. The aim being that every student should know at least this much English and at least this much math to be able to take on a college level course. And how well they scored on these tests help the universities assess the student's ability to take on a particular course, right? So there are some courses which can be more challenging than others. And this was one benchmark that they used to help them ascertain where does the student stand currently, right? Um, so basically, and this is a standardized exam. It's not subject specific. In many places, in especially in India, you will have every area of study or field of study will have its own exam. So if you're planning to study for engineering, you will do IIT JEE. If you're planning to study for medicine, you will do NEET. But in the US, if you're applying for admissions, this is the one exam that you need to take, irrespective of what major you're planning to study, right? Now, when colleges look at your applications, right, their general uh, area of focus is in four main categories. First, they will look at your academics. They want to see your performance across 4 years. So they will want your transcripts from grade 9, 10, 11, and your predicted score of grade 12. So that means students have to prioritize their studies early on to show growth and improvement. The second aspect is standardized tests, right? Um, Here, you could be writing your SAT or your ACT, like I mentioned, irrespective of whatever major you're applying for, right? Then the other thing they pay attention to is your profile. Now, what do we mean by profile? Say you're planning to study computer science. A well-rounded profile showcases um, your interest in computer science beyond what is being taught in school. Taking part in relevant activities like coding projects or internships or tech related clubs. These are things which will allow you to demonstrate your interest in your intended major, right? And especially if you have used these skills to solve a problem in your community or in your area, that goes a long way. So, for example, if you're wanting to study computer science and you've created an app that has solved a problem in your community, right? Could be of security guards or something that has helped solve a problem which was there, that goes a long way, right? The other thing that they pay attention to is your application, right? I mean, beyond test scores, grades, they've given you a platform, which is your essay, which provides a window into your personality, right? It allows you to share your experiences, your challenges, your goals, what shapes your unique identity, right? And they also humanize your application. And it allows admission officers to, um, you know, see beyond your grades, right? Your essays can make you stand out and can leave a lasting impression. So I would say invest time and effort to write these compelling narratives which authentically show who you are, right? Now, looking at your test prep and how the timeline fits in. Of course, your academics will be a continuous process from grade 9, 10, 11, and 12. Profile building also happens across all 4 years. In grade 9, you could consider preparing for the PSAT, to see how ready you are for future tests. This will also help you familiarize yourself with the format, and it will also identify key areas for improvement, right? In grade 10, I would say begin serious preparation for the SAT, take a diagnostic test. You could potentially complete your SAT English prep while you're still in grade 10. You should also write the PSAT. You could also consider starting with manageable APs like AP Computer Science or AP Microeconomics, Macroeconomics. Avoid advanced subjects like AP Calculus, BC at this stage, but you could start writing your APs by this time. Grade 9 and 10, I mean, this is when you can start with your APs. Grade 11 is intensive for standardized test prep, right? So US citizens should take the PSAT, NMSQT, which is there for you to qualify for your National Merit Scholarship. It's meant to be taken in the October of your grade 11. For everyone else, you should aim to complete your SAT exams by the end of grade 11, right? Your college admissions counselors will also want to have your grades by then, your SAT scores, so that they can help you prepare a relevant college list. Also in grade 11, you should start your AP prep early enough. If you're planning to send your AP scores with your college applications, this test will need to be taken in the month of May, towards the end of grade 11. So this year, the 11th grade is crucial for standardized testing. So plan your study schedule carefully, right? In grade 12, focus on completing your college applications. If you have taken your SATs and ACT, having your scores ready by now is an advantage. But a lot of students will want to take their final SATs, you can take them all the way up to December now, because it's an online exam, you get your test results. You can take your AP exams in grade 12 also, but they are primarily for earning college credits rather than enhancing your college application. right? Okay, so now let's try and do a deep dive into the SAT exam. The SAT exam is conducted 7 times in a year. The next one is scheduled to happen in December. Um, and we've just had one in November. There's one in December. The next one is in March, May, June, August, and October, right? Now, while candidates are permitted to take the exam multiple times, it is generally advisable not to take more than 2 attempts, right? Um, some students might want to take a third attempt, but usually we would say limit it to 2 attempts. Colleges have varying preferences when it comes to reporting standardized test scores. Some universities, they want an applicant to submit all of the scores for every SAT test that they have taken. So don't just casually take a test to see how ready you are. Some universities will allow you to super score. So that means you can pick your best of English score and the best of math score across all tests taken by you, and you can submit those scores. And some universities want you to submit only your best score, but in a single test, right? Now, we should keep in mind that some universities are test optional. This means that a student can choose to submit their test score if they feel it strengthens their application, right? But they're not required to do so, right? Test optional policies really came into play during the pandemic when the test could not be conducted everywhere easily. You also have test blind universities where test scores are not considered. So this means that your test score has no influence in the decision-making process for admission. Universities like the UCs are test blind, right? And some universities mandate that you take either the SAT or the SAT. They will not accept your application without a test score. And these are usually the more competitive universities, right? Universities like MIT, Yale, Georgia Tech, Dartmouth, Brown, Harvard. These have all chosen to become test mandatory, right? Now, the decision to take these exams depends on the policies of the universities you're applying to. So if you already have a final college list ready and none of them require a SAT score, you don't need to take this exam. But if you don't have a final college list prepared, it might be a good idea to go ahead and take the SATs, because if you try and take it last minute, you might not achieve your potential score. And moreover, as an international student, it's always advisable that you submit your SAT score. Of course, that is if you have a good SAT score. Now, the reason for this is when you're applying to a different geography than yours, if they have a test which they understand much better than what we are doing outside, if you take that test and you score well on it, it does influence. It helps, it puts you in the same level playing field as the major applicants are there. And then that showcases your skill and your ability to do that you have done well on one of their tests, right? Another aspect to note is that the acceptance of the SAT score extends beyond the United States. So several other countries, including Singapore, Canada, Australia, and even India, recognize and accept the SAT scores, right? Let's look at the structure of the exam. The test is now a digital exam. You have the flexibility of using your own device. You can bring your own laptop with the necessary software installed. The College Board conducts the test on an app called the Blue Book app, and you need to install this from the website. But you do need to go to a test center to take the exam. Now, the exam interface is very friendly. It has a clock for time management. You can easily navigate between questions. You can flag questions. You can access all the math formulas in one place. So it is reasonably easy and comfortable to do this test online. The test lasts for about 2 hours and 14 minutes. Now let's break down the exam structure. Let's have a look at, what the exam looks like. So there are 2 sections. Basically, they're testing your English and your math, right? And within these 2 sections, there are 2 modules each. So in the English section, you will be attempting 2 modules. Each module has 27 questions. and you'll have 32 minutes to complete each module. So you'll be answering in the English section, you'll be answering a total of 54 questions, and you will get 64 minutes to complete the section. For math also, there are 2 modules, each with 22 questions, and you'll have 35 minutes for each module. So you'll be answering 44 questions in 70 minutes. Now, an important thing to note here is that for English, you will be getting almost 1.19 minutes to complete each question, right? And if you look at math, you will have almost 1.59 minutes to complete each question on an average. Now, these numbers are important, and you'll understand why when we speak about the ACT. Let's first finish the SATs. Now, what is being tested in the SATs, if I look at it? So in the reading and writing section, your comprehension, language use, writing skills are being put to test. So you'll come across varying academic and literary passages. You'll be answering questions for the universities to gauge your understanding. The test segment includes craft and structure, which focuses on vocabulary and text evaluation. You have information and ideas, where you interpret various texts and infographics, expression of ideas, refining written expression, and standard English conventions, which are basic rules of English grammar, usage, punctuation, right? In the math section, the content has been divided into 4 main areas. So you have algebra, which encompasses linear equations, inequalities, system of equations, problem-solving techniques. You have problem solving and data analysis, which covers topics related to data interpretation, like ratios, rates, proportion, unit rates. Advanced math includes quadratic and exponential equations. Then you have geometry and trigonometry, which focuses on concepts such as area, volume, lines, angles, triangles, trigonometric functions, right? Now, the digital SAT math section. Approximately 75% questions are multiple choice. 25% questions are student-produced response. So the student has to come up with an answer and input that answer. Another crucial point to highlight here is that the SAT math section is heavily weighted towards algebra. Almost 85% is algebra and other mathematical concepts, with only 5 to 7 geometry questions, which makes up about 10 to 15% of the total math portions, right? Now, the digital SAT is section adaptive. What do we mean by section adaptive? Now, in each section, we mentioned there are 2 modules, module 1 and module 2. So everyone gets the same level of difficulty of module 1. How well you do on module 1 decides which version of module 2 you will get, right? Let's say you do well on module 1. And I'm just taking random numbers here. College Board does not disclose their algorithms. Say you do really well on module 1 and you score 16 out of 20. Now you will get a version of module 2, which is more challenging. But that is good because potentially it is leading you to a higher score range, right? Now, say you, on the other hand, say you didn't do very well on module 1. You will get an easier version of module 2, right? But it takes you to a score range, say for between 440 and 560, right? Now, what happens is that even if you get all the questions correct in module 2, you cannot score more than 560. So doing well in module 1 is crucial, right? If you want to maximize your score. These are some of the colleges in India that have started accepting your SAT and ACT scores. Now let's talk about the PSAT. What is the PSAT? It's a shortened version of the SAT exam. It's conducted once a year by various schools. So if your school doesn't offer it, you can see which school in your city conducts the PSAT and register there as a private candidate. The next question is, should you even be writing it? Is it even required? Now, students may opt to take the PSAT for multiple reasons. Some will take it because certain summer school programs, the competitive ones, require your PSAT score for admission. Others, some students might take it to say that, okay, I just want to know globally, where do I stand right now and how much prep do I need to take? For US citizens, like I had mentioned earlier, you should take the PSAT NMSQT. It's a qualifying test for the National Merit Scholarship. It's a talent hunt. This is another scholarship opportunity other than the college scholarships that you might be getting. It's specifically for accelerated students. Um, it happens in the month of October, and you need to take it when you're in grade 11. So it's a qualifying test. It does not give you the scholarship, but you qualify for the next 2-3 steps that you require to um, for the scholarship, right? Now, another exam that you could be taking is the ACT exam. Now, this is, like I had mentioned, College Board had tied up with 2 universities. You could take either the SAT or the ACT. You don't need to take both the exams. But the format of these exams is different. Let's talk about the ACT exam. Here you have 5 sections: English, math, reading, science, and there's an optional essay component. Now, the English section, you will get 45 minutes to answer 75 questions, right? This is very similar to the grammar section on the digital SAT, but there's a notable time difference here. You're allotted 45 minutes for 75 questions, giving you approximately 36 seconds per question. If you remember, on the digital SAT, you got 1.19 minutes per question, right? Next up is the ACT math. Here you get 60 minutes for 60 questions, giving you roughly 1 minute per question. If you remember, on the digital SAT, you had 1.59 minutes per question. So here in the ACT, there is a significant reduction in time by about 50 to 60%, right? Also, there is a notable difference in the content distribution, particularly with geometry and trigonometry. So here, it's pretty much equally divided between algebra and other mathematical computations and trigonometry and geometry. So here you will have almost 27 to 28 questions out of the 60 questions will be from geometry and trigonometry, which is almost 45 to 50% of the paper, right? Whereas on the digital SAT, it was only 15%. So digital SAT was very algebra heavy. The ACT is equally spread out between algebra and geometry, trigonometry. So that means if you're someone who is not very comfortable with algebra, you might want to look at the ACT, or vice versa. If you're very comfortable with algebra, you might want to stick to the SAT, right? After that is the English, the ACT reading section, where you're allotted 35 minutes to complete 40 questions. But there are 2 major differences to note in this section, right? Firstly, the structure of the passages differs. So in the ACT reading section, you will have 1 long passage followed by 10 questions, right? So you will have a total of 4 passages. However, in the case of the SAT, you don't have long passages. They have shorter paragraphs for you to analyze within a similar time frame. So you're almost reading 27 passages. Some of them may be 2-3 lines, some of them may be 10-15 lines, right? So this is a major difference between the 2 also. Also, the second difference is between the reading sections is that in the SAT, the content is very dense. The questions tend to be more intricate, nuanced, requiring deeper analysis and critical thinking skills. In comparison, if you look at the ACT reading passages, the questions are straightforward and simpler, right? The 4th section is the ACT science section. Now, many students and parents often worry about this, thinking, okay, I'm not good at science, so maybe I should not take the ACT. Or they'll say, I want to pursue STEM, so maybe I should take the ACT. So let's clear up this misconception. In the ACT science section, you won't be tested on your knowledge of scientific concepts. Instead, you'll be reading a science-based passage and answer questions based on the passage. It's very similar to reading comprehension. So you can only read and analyze whatever the passage has provided. Being familiar with the content can be an advantage, but it is not necessary, right? You are only allowed to answer, even if you have knowledge from outside, you can't apply it here. You have to answer a question based on what is given in that passage, right? Then you have the ACT essay, which is an optional component. This is scored separately on a scale of 2 to 12. You'll be given 1 prompt. You'll have 40 minutes to write your essay. It basically assesses your ability to analyze a complex issue. You have to develop a clear perspective and support your ideas with relevant evidence. I know this component is optional. The essay is optional, but it can provide the colleges with insight into your writing skills and your critical thinking abilities, right? Now, if you look at the how is it scaled, how is it scored, you will get a score between the four sections from 1 to 36, 1 being the lowest, 36 being the highest. And then the scores across all four sections will be averaged and you'll get a composite score. And your score will be out of 36. The score in SATs was out of 1600, right? 800 for math, 800 for English. Here it will be out of 1 to 36, essay scored separately, right? Now, basically, one of the key things that you have to understand is that ACT, the questions are more straightforward. They have a direct style of questioning, but you have to solve many more questions in a shorter time frame, right? So you have to be really quick at solving these questions. What you need to ask yourself is, are you someone who is okay with more questions and less time? Or are you someone who doesn't mind doing complex questions but wants more time to solve them, right? Choosing between the SAT and the ACT can seem daunting, but there are factors that you can consider while making a very informed decision, right? Firstly, consider your own strengths and weaknesses. SAT tends to focus on critical reasoning, critical thinking skills. ACT is more straightforward, very direct style of questioning. That's one of the things that you need to look at. You could also look at the timing. The SAT gives you more time per question, which can be beneficial if you need extra time. On the other hand, if the ACT is very fast paced with more questions, less time. So if you're good at working quickly and efficiently, the ACT might suit you. The other thing to consider is if you find math difficult, it might be a better idea to take the ACT. See, ACT math is 1 out of 4 sections, only 25%. Whereas if you look at the SAT, maths is 50%. There are only 2 sections, English and math, equally divided, right? That's one thing you could consider. The other thing that you could look at is the length of the exam. So the SAT is shorter. It's 2 hours, 14 minutes. The ACT is almost 3 hours long. Plus there is the optional essay of 40 minutes. So if you have the capacity to sit for that long, that could be a factor you might be looking at. So basically you have to evaluate which format plays to your strengths. What we usually recommend is take a diagnostic test for both the exams and see which one feels more comfortable and gets you better results, right? Ultimately, the best test for you is the one that allows you to showcase your strengths, right? So after this webinar, you will receive an email containing a registration link for the free diagnostic test for SAT as well as ACT, right? I would say please take these tests at your convenience. Assess your current standing, and then see which test is better suited for you. These are full-length diagnostic tests. I mean, I don't really believe in those shorter versions because how you react to a question after you've been sitting down for 2 hours or 2.5 hours is very different than if you were given just a 40-minute section test, right? So assess properly which one is the better suited one for you. If you want, you can also book a one-on-one consultation with us, and we'll be happy to take you through the reports and we will help you decide which one is better suited for you. This is a free consultation that we do. There are no charges for this. So please feel free to reach out to us. Now let's discuss our pedagogy briefly. So like I had mentioned, we begin our programs with a diagnostic test to see what your current prep levels are. Following this test, we'll be having a consultation with students and parents online to discuss their scores and to provide tailored advice on the necessary preparation for their SAT journey or their ACT journey, right? And again, we don't push training. High school students have enough on their plate with the complex college admissions process and the academics that they're doing. They don't have time to take on unnecessary and redundant training. So we will give them advice based on what their scores are. So, many students who get, say, 750 in mathematics, we don't recommend training for them at all. I would rather tell you that, okay, order this book from Amazon and please start your practices. If you get stuck on 1 or 2 topics, you can always take a block of hours from us, pay only for those 2-3 hours, and get ready for the exam. You don't have to do 100 hours of math training, right? So it completely depends on what do you require and what are your prep levels. In phase one, we have online live tutoring sessions, totaling to almost 35 to 40 hours in English and math. Each session lasts for 2 hours, followed by assignments. And these sessions can be conducted in groups or one-on-one, depending on whatever program you feel better suits you. Phase two is where we do practices and section tests. So each student is assigned a dedicated program coordinator or a mentor who conducts online meetings to assess their areas of strengths and weaknesses. Based on this assessment, the mentor designs a personalized plan to address a student's needs. If required, they're directed back to classes. Remedials are put into place, and sometimes even one-on-one sessions with the faculty are arranged. In phase three, students focus on full-length practice tests. We would like them to complete at least 10 plus mock tests before they go in for their first attempt. And the mentor continues to monitor progress and adjusts, keeps adjusting the study plan accordingly to make sure that there is proper improvement. Now, whether you have taken batch classes or you have taken one-on-one classes, after phase one, the program is one-on-one. Every student has a different learning curve. So the mentors will, after that, the student coordinators will work with them on a one-on-one basis only, right? All these phases will take place on a digital SAT platform where students have access to comprehensive practice material and experience the same style of questioning as on the actual SAT exam. Now, if you look at the programs that we offer, we have various modules that cater to different needs. We have, on one end, we will have the full SAT training programs. This can be done, like I'd mentioned, in batches or one-on-one. Now, if a student requires only math or only English, those programs are available also. Again, can be taken in batches or one-on-one. For some accelerated students, we also have self-paced programs that will provide you lesson videos, self-paced exercises, mock tests. It basically gives them a comprehensive checklist to make sure that they haven't missed any aspect of the test, right? We also have programs where a student can do only mock tests on our digital platform. So we give very customized options to suit every student's individual requirements, right? Now, this was about the SAT and the ACT. Let's talk about the AP exams. So AP exams are college level tests that you will take in high school, and they focus on a specific subject. So if you want to showcase your expertise in a particular subject, you would want to take an AP for that subject. But keep in mind that the APs happen only once a year in the month of May. So you will also have your final exams in May and June. So this overlap basically means you have to plan your AP exam prep well in advance to make sure that there is no conflict with your school exams, right? So currently the College Board offers almost 30 plus APs, 38, I think, almost worldwide. But the availability of subjects varies from country to country and even city to city. So in India, we have almost 28 APs which are being offered now, 20 plus. But again, it depends on, one center may not be offering all the APs, right? So it's important to see which are the subjects which are happening in your area so that you can help plan your studies better. But before we get into the specifics of the APs, let's address one crucial question. Why should you take the APs at all, right? If you're doing IB and you already will get credit for the subjects that you've taken in high school, and AP exams, is a significant time investment. So it's important to have a solid reason for doing an AP. Now, one of the main reasons that students take the AP exam is to stand out in the college application process, right? Academic performance is a basic expectations. Colleges assume that you are already doing well in academics. Now, to stand out, you need more in your profile. And that's where the AP exams come in. So if you've taken a standard level for a particular subject, but plan to major in it, an AP score might help you, right? some students might take an AP exam in a subject that wasn't part of their high school curriculum. So, for example, if you're a science student, but you plan to major in economics in college, so taking macro and microeconomics can show your proficiency in economics to the college. So it basically shows to the college that while you've taken up sciences, you do have you have diverse academic strengths and you're prepared for your intended major. So it highlights your ability to excel in various subjects, thereby boosting your overall application, right? A lot of students also take APs to earn college credits. Now, in the US, each college credit can cost you anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500, depending on which university you're going to. By doing AP exams, you can save on these costs. But more importantly, you can skip some introductory colleges in your first semester. So this not only reduces your tuition fee, but it also lightens your course load. Many students are going out from their home into a environment which is very different from what they are used to. And sometimes that lower course load in the first semester helps you settle down and become better adjusted also, right? Some students, who are academically pretty high, they may not want the credits, but they might want the when they've skipped the introductory courses, some students might want to take an additional minor, right? That also goes a long way. So there are some scholarships also awarded to students who have written multiple APs. So it can open doors to scholarships and awards, especially if you're taking multiple APs and you're excelling in them, you can earn the title of an AP scholar, which strengthens your college application. Definitely improves your chances of getting a merit-based scholarship. Another important reason is to offset a poor academic score. So, for example, in your 10th grade math exam, for some reason, you did not get a very good score. Now, what you can do is in grade 11, you can take an AP calculus or AP statistics that will show to your college that that low score was an outlier and that you're actually quite skilled at mathematics, right? So this will help reduce the negative impact on your college application. Now, let's look at the structure of the AP exam. Most AP exams last between 2 and 3 hours, divided into two sections. One is multiple choice questions that test your knowledge and understanding and ability to recall facts quickly. Then you have the free response questions. Here, you need to write your own answer. These are subjective questions that are more detailed essay style questions, very similar to school exams. They assess your ability to analyze, synthesize, and apply your knowledge in a very structured manner. So this section requires higher order thinking skills, detailed written responses. The student needs to articulate detailed answer means that the AP exams are more rigorous and demanding, right? They're testing not only your factual knowledge, but also your ability to express and support your answers effectively. So it does require thorough preparation and a strong understanding of the subject matter. So make sure you're well prepared to tackle both MCQs and free response style questions effectively, right? Now that you understand the structure of the AP exams, let's talk about how they are scored. AP exams are graded on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest and 1 the lowest, right? I would say aim for a 5. This shows academic excellence can strengthen your college application, especially if you're applying to a competitive university. A strong 4 is also a good score, can be impressive to colleges. It shows that you're well prepared and capable of handling college level course. A score of 3 is also pretty good. Many colleges recognize a score of 3 as a good score and will give you college credits and potentially you can save on tuition fees. UC Berkeley, for example, will accept a score of 3 and they will give you the college credits for those courses. But if you're applying to a competitive university like Harvard, they will only give you credit for AP if you've got a score of 5, right? Now, AP scholar isn't a term for just any student who takes AP courses. It's an honor awarded by the college board. To become an AP scholar, you need to perform well on multiple AP exams. But I know there is no monetary reward involved, but you will receive a certificate commemorating the honor. So even better is that the AP scholar designation will appear on all the AP reports that you're sending to the colleges and the universities. Now, how do you get this? The AP scholar designation is based on two main criteria. Firstly, the number of APs you've taken, on which you have scored 3 and higher. And the second is your AP test average. If you remember, we had spoken about this earlier. Don't just randomly take APs just to see if you're ready. No, only when you're ready, only then take an AP. So to be an AP scholar, you need to do 3 APs and you need to score higher than 3 on these AP exams, right? AP scholar with honors, you need to score 3 and higher on at least 4 AP exams. There's another caveat. You should have a minimum AP average of 3.25 on all the APs that you've taken. Here I was saying that if you randomly take an AP in 9th grade to see how difficult the course is, don't take a practice exam instead. All right. AP scholar with distinction, you need to score 3 or higher on at least 5 AP exams and have a minimum AP average of 3.5. Right? And then you will get a AP scholar with distinction. Now let's see, how do we decide which AP to take, right? Now the APs that you need to take need to align with your intended major in college, right? Even if we don't know the exact major that you're going to do in college, you do have a general idea of the areas that you're interested in studying for your undergraduate degree. So, for example, you know that, okay, I'm interested in pure sciences, or I'm interested in math and computer science, or, you know, okay, I'm interested in art and design, right? So what College Board has done is they have divided all their APs into 7 major categories. You have the capstone program, arts, English, history and social science, math and computer science, pure sciences, world language and cultures, right? Now, within these, you will have a cluster of exams that you could do, which will help you figure out which are the ideal APs for you to write. So, for example, say if I'm interested in computer science, now here is a list of APs that I could possibly be potentially be taking, right? I could take AP Calculus A, B, BC, Computer Science A, Computer Science Principles, Pre-Calculus, AP Statistics. So I could be taking these. Or say if I wanted to do pure sciences, I could do any of these, right? Biology, chemistry, environmental sciences. There are 4 AP Physics this thing. So College Board has some useful tools that can help you make your decision, right? Let's just take you to, so this is one of the what I was showing you earlier. These are the 7 programs. Now let's just take AP Calculus BC as a example. So if you're planning to write your AP Calculus BC, we can see here that AP Calculus BC, if you see this one here, connects you to 38 majors and 107 careers, right? And you will find all the details here. So some of the majors that writing this exam might help you could be computer science, economics, finance, mechanical engineering, right? And if you want to go career wise, you could look at careers, and then you will see that, you know, you could, if you want to become an aircraft pilot or an architect, many type of engineers, financial analysts. If you're planning to study, if that's the career that you're planning to follow, then which are the majors that you need to take, and which are the APs that you need to take, right? And you can see that you will also be able to see here that multiple, the same AP will help you across multiple majors. So for example, if you're writing AP Calculus BC, it will be helpful if you're doing engineering. It will also help you if you're doing finance or even economics, right? So all of this will help. So you can connect the majors as well and see, right? So this will help you decide which APs you should do, right? Another thing that will help you decide what APs to take. Now, if you've decided on, okay, maths and computer science is what I think I want to follow, here are the 7, 8 APs that I could be taking. Now, within those APs, which one should you take? One of the ways could be to look at the score distribution table. Now, what do we mean by this? College Board tracks the data of students who have taken APs every year. Score distribution is the breakup of how many students scored a 5 across various subjects. So for example, if I want to follow pure science, now I know there was a whole bunch of APs that I could have taken, right? Now within that, let me see the distribution table. So AP Biology, only 16% of students scored a 5. AP Physics 1, even a lower 8% of students scored a 5, right? But there are other science subjects that had a higher success rate. So AP Electricity and Magnetism, 27% students scored a 5. In AP Mechanics, 23% students scored a 5. So these figures show us that AP Mechanics and AP Electricity and Magnetism might be better options if you want to aim for a higher score, given that the percentages of student are higher who are excelling in these subjects, right? Now, the same thing if I wanted to look at math and computer science. So based on these distributions, if I had to choose two APs, I'd go with AP Calculus BC and AP Computer Science A, right? Same with English. If you have a look, it would make more sense to choose AP English Literature and Composition with a 13% rate rather than AP English language, right? So what do these tables really show us? They show us that there are subjects within versus others, where there is a higher success rate of success, right? Another thing that you could be looking at is the credit policy search. That can also help you see which APs you might want to take, right? So we've discussed how you can align it to majors. We've discussed the score distribution table. Now we're going to be discussing the credit policy, which could also be one of the reasons that could help you see if you were to take these APs which are aligned with your majors and courses, and how does this help? All right. Let's take Stanford as an example. Now, typically, an undergraduate program requires about 120 credits to complete your 4 years of undergraduate, right? And most college courses are 3 to 4 credits, right? So now there are two things that we had spoken about. That one, you will get credits. The other is advanced placement. What do we mean by advanced placement? Some colleges will allow you to skip an introductory course, right? Based on the qualifying AP that you've taken and the score that you've gotten. And like I mentioned, you can get your APs, your score is important, and accordingly your credits are given. So let's look at this tool that College Board has and see how different APs can help you get credits at various colleges, right? So this tool allows you to filter based on the college. We have taken up Stanford as an example. Now, if I was to do, say, Calculus BC, AP Calculus BC, and I scored a 5, I would get 10 credits and I would be able to skip Math 19, 20, and 21. But if I was to do a Calculus AB, I would get 6 credits and I can skip Math 19 and 20, right? Now, if you remember, we had spoken about each credit costs you about $1,000 to $1,500. So, and let's make it more tangible, right? If I was taking, say, 5 APs and I got an average of 6 credits per AP, I would get about 30 credits, which could be anywhere between $30,000 and $45,000 that I would possibly save in my tuition fee in the first year, right? But you have to be careful that your APs are aligned to the major that you need to take. And these decisions are a little more complex. I would recommend that you sit with your college counselor before making these decisions. But these are the tools, and don't worry, we'll be sharing the links of these tools with you as well. So before you go and sit with a college counselor, you could do some reviews here, do some research here, and understand which which majors align to which APs, how much credit will you get, what is the scoring distribution table, so that you have some information already, some base level information when you sit down with the college counselor to have these discussions. APs, definitely there are some testing policies which are important for you to know. You cannot take 2 exams scheduled at the same time and date. Decide which exam you want to take first and then take the other exam during the next testing window. You cannot retake an exam in the same year. But you can take it the following year. You cannot write both AP Calculus AB and BC in the same year. You can take pre-calculus and Calculus AB. You can take pre-calculus and Calculus BC. But you can't write AB and BC in the same year. You can take all of the 4 exams, physics exams in the same year. AP Computer Science Principles has a prerequisite. You have to have a portfolio. You have to have a project that you need to take. It's a little more complex. Then computer science A, if you wish to take any of those, you can let us know in the chat box. You can just fill out a form. We have a form there. If you have any questions, you can write into us. We can help you sit with the computer science AP teacher and help you decide what is required between computer science principles and computer science A, and see which one is the better option for you. Keep in mind that as of May 2025, which is the coming May, the APs will be going digital. They will discontinue the standard paper testing which they had for almost 28 exams. These exams will move to the Blue Book testing application. Now, some will be 4-5 APs will be purely online. The remaining have gone into a hybrid mode, wherein on the Blue Book app, you will see all the questions. But for some things like maths and all, you will have to still write down your answers on the answer sheets provided to you by the College Board. But there's no longer going to be a question paper in your hand. It is going to be digital, right? Again, I'm sure that most of you have already signed up for the AP exams if you plan to take them in grade this year, because the deadlines are almost over now. In some cities, in some centers, there might be a late registration date, but that will be very center specific. So you can reach out to the centers and see if there still is going to be a window that will allow them to register a bit later. Okay, our offerings about the APs. We provide comprehensive support for the AP preps. We've already started our batches as of now. We have, the duration of this is about 6 to 7 months. We have about 30 to 40 hours of live classes with experienced faculty. Assignments after each session are done will be, so you have, each session is about, about usually 2 hours. And you will have about 2 to 3 hours of assignments to complete. After completing each unit, every student will take a unit test to evaluate their understanding and their prep levels. Based on these results, we will provide targeted remedial sessions to address any gaps, right? At least in the last couple of months, students will be taking about 5 to 6 full-length mock tests in a timed setting. We also offer self-paced courses with comprehensive digital material, including assignments, test papers, instructional videos. Students can prepare at their own pace and attend doubt clarification classes with our faculty. Usually, we'll start off with 1 class a week. Closer to the end, we do ramp up the classes. Our method and philosophy is centered around providing structured, consistent support over a period of 7 to 8 months that will help students excel in their APs, right? Here are some of the subjects which are offered by Reviser. I think there are a couple of subjects which are not mentioned here, like AP World History. There is also AP Literature, a couple of others. Now, as I was speaking earlier when we started this session about the Base Builder series. So, one of the things that we have realized is that most students are able to get the math scores in, but the English scores end up being challenging. So we've started a program which is for students, specifically for students of 8th, 9th, and 10th grade, right? It sets the base for English, for what is going to be tested in the SAT English when you get ready for your SAT English program. Now, College Board is really looking at what you've been reading and how you've been reading over the past 5-6 years. It's more than just skimming for facts. They want to know if you can really understand details of the language. You have to understand how authors use words, what they really mean, what we can infer from their writing. And remember, you need to do all of this under strict time limits, right? So if you're an avid reader, you enjoy participating in debates, MUNs, you've already set a good foundation. If you haven't, it's time to start reading and developing your critical thinking skills right away, right? Try exploring books, articles from different genres. After reading, have discussions about those articles with your friends and family. See how everyone interprets them. You'll see that most people have very different takeaways from the same piece of writing. So this practice will help you strengthen your critical thinking skills. So keeping this in mind, we've designed the SAT Base Builder program for students in grade 8, 9, and 10. It is this program is specifically suited for students who are preparing to take the SAT training in grade 11. Our aim is to help students with essential English skills, that promote critical thinking and critical reading. If you focus on the foundational concepts of vocabulary, reading comprehension, grammar, this program aims to prepare students for success in their future SAT endeavors by building a strong base, right? Um, Vocabulary, of course, is crucial for improving reading and writing scores on the SAT. Our program helps students develop very effective techniques to learn new words. Reading comprehension, of course, is essential for SAT success. Students will gain exposure to a variety of passages, including literature, historical documents, social science. These will all improve their skills. They will learn effective strategies for how to skim, how to read quickly, how to take out the main points. You critically analyze arguments. You will have some practice questions which will reinforce comprehension. Grammar, of course, is vital in the writing section of the SAT. Our approach covers fundamental grammar rules such as sentence structure, punctuation. So we have a session once every week. Each session targets vocabulary, reading comprehension, and grammar. And every session will introduce new concepts and techniques. So to make sure that you have a balanced and comprehensive approach to learning, right? We are excited to share some of our students' performance on the AP exams and the SAT exams. Almost 80% of our students achieved either a 5 or a 4 on the AP exams. And they have achieved impressive SAT scores with the highest reaching 1590. And we have an average of about 1450. I'm sharing some of the scores with you. This is what our students have to say about us. All right, I'll be more than happy to take up your questions now. I'll start with the questions in the chat box first, and then, of course, we'll take on more questions. Sure, we'll be more than happy to send you a recording of our session as well. Thank you for, okay, yes, please share each course fee as well. Okay. Here, can you please fill out the form and leave your details there? We will be sharing the brochures for each of our programs. They will be in the mail that will follow with the diagnostic test, the free diagnostic test links. These can be taken online, and the last 2 pages will basically have the fee structures, because there are so many courses within each course, so many permutation combinations. So you can have a look at those. So for pre-med, undergraduate university, for medical, which AP subjects are required? So for pre-med, I would recommend you take AP biology, AP chemistry, very important. If you're planning to do biomedical engineering, physics is a good idea as well. Maths goes a long way. If you're good at math, I would recommend any of those. But very specific, my advice to you would be, look at the universities. Every university has their own policy. Finally, it should be aligned to the majors that you're planning to take, and do look at the university's policy as to which one will, where will you get the credit for that.
Hi, good morning, Madam. This is Simpson Offal again. Thank you very much. It was very fantastic presentation, very comprehensive presentation. I must thank you, WISA organizations, that you have wisely started your service to people around the world. As I discussed earlier, and I'm the Director Asia International School Group in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So we will be able to collaborate with you very soon. So in the meantime, I would like to have your presentation PDF to my email address, which I have already shared with you.
Sure.
To get through more, and then when I read your, the what do you call today's webinar recording, then I will be able to synthesize all this information and call for a meeting with my department heads. And also, I need your guidelines, how, if we initiate this project and collaboration, so how we can, whom we have to coordinate with to get the approval for center approval. We have fantastic lab facilities and very comprehensive digital labs, and then whom to be contacted and what should be done, and where and how fast we can start our collaboration with you.
Sure. I will send you an email. Just drop your email ID with us, please. We will reach out to you and we will give you all the information. Definitely, we will share the recording link as well as the presentation. See, we would, for the school as well, we would recommend the same thing. Start with a diagnostic test.
Yeah.
See how prepared a student is, and then we can offer individual programs. We do online training across the world, right? So we are more than happy to kind of collaborate with you, and we'll see what are the options, what is the requirement, and then from there we will set up plans that work for you. You know, whether you want online, if you want offline, we can collaborate, and we'll be more than happy to share all details. And we can set up a call also. Our numbers are here, our email ID is also here. Feel free to call any one of us. Siddharth and I are the two people who will be getting in touch with you. If you can just, like, we've already taken your number, so definitely we'll set up a meeting and we'll share this by the end of day today with you, all the details and the links. So and it's, the students are under no obligation that they have to take training from us. We do this as a free service. Diagnostic test for SAT, diagnostic test for ACT, and one-on-one consultation with each student and parent to see what are their prep levels, and we can organize this at your school as well.
Yeah, one
So
more question you forgot to inform that. The point of contact person in the college board or somebody like that to get the approval and formalities to be done. This information also needed.
not required. We are a private company. We don't need college board approval. College board has their own registration. So we train about anywhere between 300 to 400 students every year for SATs. And they sign up individually with the college board website for their SAT exams. The entire training is given by us. So there is no
No,
requirement for college board approval for this.
no. I am asked. By the way, you didn't get my question. My question is that, uh, so how to make our school as a testing center?
As a testing center, sure. So we'll connect you with the right people. In fact,
Yeah,
we were at a college board seminar recently. I'll connect you with the right people to help, who can help you make your school as a testing center. For sure,
that's nice of
we'll connect
that's
you.
nice of you.
Yeah,
And yes, if you can send these details also in my email, so I
absolutely.
will direct my deputy to contact with you to go ahead with our collaboration.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you so
We
much.
will
Wish you
do
all
that.
the best.
Thank you so much, sir. If there are any more questions, I'm more than happy. You can unmute yourself and you can ask any questions that you have. So I have some questions here in the chat box. Are you offering online classes for international students? Yes, Sana, we do. My recommendation is please fill out the form which is there in the chat box. We'll share the diagnostic test link. Best to take that thing, and we can have a one-on-one meeting to discuss a personalized plan. Or if you'd like to have a call before you take the tests, please fill out the details and we'd be more than happy to connect over a call. How long does a student need to prepare to good score in SAT or AP? Example, how many attempts on an average? Okay. So Tarun, it's not so, how many attempts is not more important. It depends on what is your gap. Where do you stand right now? So I've had students who've done it in less than a month also. But the student was preparing for the NEET exam in India. She was also she won an award for the best Tata Literary Award essay in India, right? So what happens is you have to see what is your gap between where you need to reach. So if you're a 98 percenter, you're very good in English, you could do it in a very short time. An average student needs to spend anywhere between 200 to 300 hours of work. Classroom sessions are only 30 to 40 hours. After that, you have assignments, you will have tests, remedials, analyzing the areas, going back to study, then full tests. It depends on what is the gap you need to cover. Average student 200 to 300 hours. Also depends on how soon can you give those 300 hours. So we've had students who used to come and sit in our office from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the summer vacations, finish it in 2 months. We have students who are doing this with their 11th grade school as they are doing. So you have to pace out your training, because one thing you must remember, your academics is far more important than any of these standardized tests that you're planning to take, right? So whether you're doing your APs or your SATs and ACTs, it should not affect your academics. So we will have to pace out your training in that way to make sure that you're able to do academics and this side by side. So the ideal timeline for me would be in 10th grade, finish your SAT English prep. You need 10th grade math to build on your SAT math. So in the summer vacation after your 10th grade, that is the ideal time to prep for your SAT math. Get that done so that by the time school starts, you're already doing mock tests, which is a minimal once a week kind of an intervention. That ways you will hopefully get your potential score on your SATs, and you will also be able to do your academics well. So it depends very individual from student to student. I hope I answered that question. As far as APs go, you can start as early as grade 9, like I had mentioned, the easier APs, like which are not specific to what you're doing in school. Calculus, ABBC requires you to do a certain level of mathematics before you're ready for it, right? But things like macro, micro economics, AP psychology, AP world history can be done as early as grade 9 and 10. If you are interested in computers, so you're very interested in coding already, these are skill-based APs. So doing computer science A or computer science P, also you can get them done early if you have an interest, if you're willing to put in the time and effort. But there are certain things I would say, okay, keep it till the end. Like, calculus BC, like I was mentioning, do them in your 11th grade. Don't try and do them in 9th and 10th. Pre-calculus you could do earlier also, right? So it all depends on what is your interest, what are you good at, how much time can you put towards it. So pace it well. We have students who take 4 to 5 APs as well, but they start early, right? I hope that was I answered your question. Are you providing counseling or admission services as well? So Reviser specifically does not do counseling, but we have partners who do counseling. If you want, you could just fill out the form, Tarun. I will send you the numbers of 3 to 4 people who are good at doing this, work one-on-one with students, and will be able to kind of help you along the way, along your journey. Okay, please share your SAT English coaching. Sure, Kashvi, just fill out the form, please. And we'll be happy to share the details with you. Sorry, somebody was asking a question.
Hello, ma'am. Hi, thank you for the wonderful and informative presentation that you have given to us. I'm a professor of mathematics and statistics working in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I'm looking forward for the AP preparation course for my daughter here. And she would like to go for her engineering in USA. So I would just like to know the duration of the course and the fee structure of this course.
Okay, so ma'am, I'll if you can just fill out the form, I'll write out. We'll send out the details to you. If now, what grade is the student in?
She's in grade 12 now.
Grade 12. So have her applications? They'll be going this year.
No, in 2025, September 2025.
September of 2025. Okay. So then she can take her exams in the month of May. Now, the thing is, in India, the registrations have closed. You'll have to see the dates which are available for her to take the exam in May. If you haven't registered, I would say register now. Check if the registrations are opening. Sometimes there is a late window for registration as well, usually December, January. But I would say write to College Board so you can register well in time. The AP, like I mentioned, if you're doing group classes or batch classes, 6 to 7 months is a good enough time, because you will have to take some blackout periods for when they have school exams and things like that. We have students who prepare with us one-on-one also. Some students like to start as early as the summer vacations. For her, I would say start now, so that she's ready for her May exam. 6 to 7 months is what you require to prep, right? That's an ideal timeline.
Do you provide the
we do one-on-one coaching? You have
these days AI is involved in helping with these kind of courses as well. So do you have something incorporating that one in your teaching skills?
Not yet. We do everything manually as of now. So we have an online portal where we have picked out relevant questions and we have put them there. AI also generates a lot of questions which are sometimes completely not relevant. So as of now, we have designed our program manually, not AI or specific. For SAT, of course, yes, we have AI platforms as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for APs, ma'am, like the questions are curated and generated by the faculty which are certified from College Board, right? So, so they generate the questions. It is like they do take help from some books and some past year papers, but AI is, right now we don't depend on AI to, and expose directly to the students. Right now, that's not happening. The questions and the MCQs and the FRQs are curated by us.
I have a question, another question from Anita here. SAT preparation should start in which year for IGCSE students? Like I had mentioned, SAT English is the more difficult one. I would say start reading, encourage the students to start reading even small articles, from grade 8 onwards. Good, any good newspapers, you can start with Asia Wall Street Journal or New York Times or the Scientific American, small articles. But I think what is more important is the conversation you have after the article that promotes critical thinking skills, right? So that you should get them started really early as a family. If you can, have, read an article together and have a dinner table discussion, I think it helps students to understand that, like I mentioned, from the same passage everyone has different takeaways, and encourage them to question, why do you think this, or what helped you make this mindset or this decision, what is the evidence behind it, why would you have this opinion. That is very important. So starting early on the reading is very important. If you were doing specific SAT related, like I had mentioned earlier, in 10th grade, finish your SAT English, math. This is a bit of a mind game. They are wanting you to do very tricky questions. Even as adults, we sometimes we get foxed the questions. They're very tricky, especially SAT. SAT, you can score well if you can do critical thinking. I've seen many students, they'll be practicing and they'll be doing well, but at a certain point, usually between 1350 and 1450, they'll almost hit the glass ceiling. You can't seem to go beyond, no matter how much you practice. So it's all related to critical thinking. So if you can do critical thinking, critical reasoning, you will do better on the SAT. The more you practice, you don't get better. ACT is different. The more you practice, the better you get. The style of questioning is very direct, very straightforward. Even though it is a 3-hour test, I would really recommend it, especially for our CBSE and ICSE students. They are not scared of time management at all. They're very good at it. So I would recommend explore the ACT. But keep in mind that the ACT is changing its format coming year, right? They've said, as of now, initially they said spring, now they've said fall. So by fall of next year, they're planning to change the format. So my recommendation is, if you're planning to do the ACT, finish all your attempts before mid of the year, next year, so that you get your scores. Now, with the new exam, you don't know. It's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's very good because the 4-5 exams might be really easy and they might be allowing you to score higher. But if the questions are very different, then you've not had adequate practice before you can really take on the exam. So it's a very, right now, I would say, take it before middle of next year and be done with your attempts. Then yes. Though I quite like the ACT as well. So I think it's the more you practice, the better you get. So between the two, you really have to make up your mind which is the one that feels more aligned to your style of learning.
Excuse me,
Hello.
Mr. Co-founder, I forgot your name.
My name is Guneet Khanna.
Yeah, Miss Gunita. I have one more questions, personal questions, but I don't know whether you would like it or not. We are going to open
That's okay.
a digital online campus in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
So the license stage is almost done. Perhaps tomorrow we will receive. Basically based on Al Khobar, very near to Bahrain. So we are trying to fulfill all the requirements of this high school student as well as level 3 to diploma or high diploma courses. So I feel that if there is any room so that you can collaborate with that, have a dealing with the chairman, and through our channel, you will be able to conduct your courses, your trainings. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are more than happy to work on and collaborate and, see in which way we can support you. Any which way.
Can you, in my email, which I gave you earlier, and can you send your formula of collaboration, not just with the school, that's the university campus, how you can do, how we can, collaborate with you? What is the form of collaborations, and then whether it is hybrid is possible or only remote learning is possible. So thinking of what this means, and could you please include in my email this point as well, so that we will have a meeting with the chairman very soon?
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right.
Hi, Guneet. Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
So my son is in class 10th, is going to take boards this year.
Okay.
I would like him to take AP in history.
Okay.
What would be the good time to prepare for that, or what kind of preparation will he require?
So I think the best thing would be for me to have a meeting with you with our AP World History teacher, right? She's the best person. See, AP World History also has one other skill which I think is very required, is that the student should be an avid reader, right?
Yeah,
There's a
true.
lot of pre-reading that needs to be done
Okay.
during classes. So that's one of the things that we find very challenging. Students are not able to do that pre-reading sometimes. So obviously history is a lot more about reading than about just answering questions, right? So that's an integral part of the program. So what I can do is, if you just fill out the form, right? We've given out the form there. Fill out the
Yeah.
form, say I'd like to understand more about the AP history program. What I'll do is we'll coordinate a meeting between you, us, and the AP history teacher, and she will be able to take us through what specific requirements are there for that subject, right? And she will have a lot of questions to ask from the student as well. So if the student is there, the meeting will be more productive,
Got it.
right? So that's the best way to go about it. I hope you have, if you plan to take the exam in May, I hope you have registered for it. So first thing I would say, I know the exam happens in May, but the registrations happen in November. So make sure you are registered well in time. That is one of the key aspects. And if the registration date has already gone, please call up the centers and check if they're going to be having a late registration. Because what we see sometimes is that the students have prepared for an entire year, but they somehow missed the registration date. Then this is only the one exam that happens in the month of May. Then you have to wait for an entire year to go and give the exam. So I think the first point would be, have a look at the registration if it has been done, and we'll just fill out the form. We'll organize a meeting with the respective faculty for you. There's one more question from Sonali here. When can a 10th grader CBSE take an AP? You can take an AP anytime. I mean, every May these exams are happening, right? So you can, like I mentioned, if you're already in 10th grade, the registration is the important date. In India, the registrations have stopped already. So you'll have to see whether they're still stopped in the Middle East, or if you have a late registration window. If those are open, training should start right now, because it will take time to kind of complete portions. It is a college level course that you're planning to do in grade 10, does require a significant prep, right? So I would say, Sonali, have a look at that, and we can even have a meeting if you want, and we'll take you through the details. I hope that answered your question. And for especially for a CBSE student, while very few colleges ask for this, but there are some very selective universities that will want a CBSE student, or a nationalized curriculum student to take on AP. So we were just speaking recently at a seminar to a representative from Cambridge, who said that if you want to take any course in Cambridge, if you're doing CBSE, they need a minimum of 5 APs to be taken, right? So I mean, while there are very few universities that have these kind of mandates, but there are some. So if you're planning to apply to those universities, it's a good idea to check on the website what the requirements are and start early, for the APs. Thank you, Aparna.
One more
Yes, we
question.
will send you the. Yes, sir. Yes, please, ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you provide counseling for admission in Indian university?
So we have multiple partners. If you just fill out the form and let us know your requirements for counseling, what is it you're hoping for, which are the areas, just say that I'd like to speak with a couple of counselors. We'll send you the names and numbers for a few. You can get in touch with them. We can ask some of them. If you share your details, we will ask one of them to call you as well. There are counselors who will do a small session with you or a meeting with you free of charge. There are some counselors who will charge you anywhere between 2,500 to 5,000 for an hour for a meeting. And you can choose any of those. You don't have to sign up for an entire program, an annual program with them before having a bunch of conversations. So there are those opportunities, and we'll send you a few numbers that will be able to kind of help you with all your requirements.
Perfect.
For pre-med undergraduate university for medical, which are the AP subjects that are required? Like I had mentioned, biology, chemistry are the two best ones if you wish to take them. If you wish to take more, if it's, like I said, biomedical, again, this is a question for a college counselor. If you want, we can put you in touch with someone. Every university has their own requirements. In some universities, it's a great add on. Some universities might mandate it. It depends also on the curriculum that the student is doing, many factors to look at. So I would say, please fill out the form. We'll put you in touch with a college admissions counselor. It's important to understand which are the universities you're applying to and what are their policies. If I had to give a very general blanket response, if you want to do 2 APs, it would be biology and chemistry for pre-med. I hope I answered your question. All right. If that's all, thank you so much for your time today. I have mentioned our numbers here. Please feel free to write in to us, and we'll be more than happy to kind of have a one-on-one consultation with you and see how we can help you with your prep. Mr. Mohammed, we will get in touch with you. We have your email ID. We will connect with you and we will send you our details, and we'll be happy to have a meeting and discuss. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sonali. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.